So the topic for today is culture to commerce, how global cultural shifts are shaping the next fashion trends. Now, when we talk about fashion trends, fashion is something that after 30 years it comes back, or 20 years it comes back, or 10 years it comes back. I don't know, but it comes back. It's a circle. Having said that, I would like to start this introductory question that if you had to put one cultural moment, a film, a movement, or a global event that you believe most significantly redirected the fashion course in the last couple of years, what would that be and why? A movement, a film, an idea, a thought. According to you, what would it be? And it's open to all. Anybody can start. Yeah, Amit wants to start with it. Please, Amit.
So, Hitesh ji, I would say there have been many as such, micro, minor, major, but the most critical, I would say, or the most, which has biggest impact on the fashion industry or all on industry, if you say, it's basically the COVID-19, I would say. Because it has not only changed the matrix of price to value, not only changed the matrix from seeking style or quality from formals to casuals. So there has been a major change into it. We have seen a drastic drop in the formal section, but but it has created a major movement towards the casualization of the fashion wear or entire apparel segment.
Okay. Yeah. Haresh.
Hello. Yes, I totally agree with him. The clothes have become more comfortable rather than being formal or wearing to occasions. The usual blazers or suits are not compulsory anymore because of the COVID pandemic thing. The second thing is these movies also have influence, like Marvel. So these characters you can see even 35 years guys wearing those t-shirts when we used to see kids wearing all those type of garment. So it's really a culture shift is there, and it's influencing, and we are realizing it and then putting it into the work.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Acharya ji.
Hello. Yeah, there is a shift in fashion. Previously, people were only thinking of wearing work wear, but now it is fashion wear, and comfort is most requirement of today. Thank you.
So I think all three of the esteemed panelists have actually summed it up. I work with a company which looks at trends. So I think I would not call it a single event which I've seen, but yes, things have changed from a consumer perspective. Post-pandemic, we have seen two things which have happened to the consumer. There is a rise in terms of identity and expression. So what we've seen over the last 5-6 years is that consumer has moved away from the concept of dress to impress to a concept of dress to be yourself, a little more self-free. You don't have to impress people all around. You have to just express your thoughts and all. So that is a very significant shift. So that's the reason you see a rise of gender fluidity in fashion. You look at a rise of comfort, as Sir mentioned. So these are all aspects. So identity from a consumer, the way they want to express themselves, has essentially changed. It's not about loungewear, etc., which I'm saying, but in general essence. So whether it's baggy silhouettes, they've not come because of a trend, but a cultural movement has just shifted the way people want to think and identify themselves with. It's become key, but yeah, it's coming from a very different element. So it's more of a personal expression, I would say, where consumers have realized that fashion is not about just interpreting trends, but being more personally expressive, and that is depicted in the way they also buy and purchase garments. So that's a significant shift.
Puneet, I want to continue with you. This is on the cultural translations that happen. Your company tracks macro cultural movements globally. But how reliable do these signals translate into consumer behavior? That is one. And second, are there cases where globally dominant trends have simply not landed in India, and if so, why?
So see, culture is very different. So there is a notion which people say that we get inspired by global trends, etc. It was the case. It's not the case right now. India as an economy, culture is a very significantly shifted the way we perceive trends and fashion. Yes, it does have an impact. But the impact is not two ways. So we have one end is our culture, which is being adopted by Western brands very actively, whether it's embroideries, specifically occasion, future wear. But then from the West, we're not just adopting from the West, we are trying to translate it into our way of doing it. So culture is also, for me, it's a matter of two, three elements. So one is value, what it brings in, how it is being perceived from a consumer point of view, both in terms of design, in terms of the way they want to spend on that. So culture has become more of a not let's say a global to local. It's become more local to global, and that is where culture has become very, very prominent. And we see a lot of this aligning to, let's say, the India market, South Asia market overall. But culture is, again, it's a byproduct of what consumers are feeling. They are feeling very much appreciable of the fact that yes, we belong to a certain culture. So that's the reason you see, there is a talk around brands. They're all brand owners over here. They will talk about tier 2, tier 3 cities who carry their own mass in terms of trends. It's not really the metro driven trends. They have their own value proposition, and that value proposition only comes to culture. So very, very significant, very, very important.
Taking Puneet's point on culture, I want to go to Acharya ji and also ask him about this question on the Indian consumers' cultural evaluation.
After pandemic, if you see, before pandemic, we were slightly thinking different way, and we were seeing always what world is doing. But shift has happened. World is seeing what India is doing. So fashion is shifted from world to India, and we decide what we have to wear, and according to that, we make our patterns, we make our views, we make our, and we have lot of sensibility now for color selection. We adopt climate also. So that all shifts have happened, and particularly if we think of India, we are now more think of comfort, and for that, particularly when comes to Siyaram, we are doing lot of innovations, and by that way we are expanding for fashion.
Thank you, Acharya ji. But cultural trends are now demanding specific washes, sustainable inputs, craft forward textures. How early does cultural intelligence actually enter your sourcing conversations at Mufti?
So basically, it has to start very early, even before the design happens, even before we go to mill and order the fabrics. So we take the concepts from designers, understand what cultural influences they might be thinking or the directions where they want to go, the design team wants to go, and then go for sampling, for salesman samples, for trade shows. So this is all done even before ordering the fabrics.
But now I'll ask Amit, culture on operational inputs. As a CEO, cultural demand can be unpredictable and fast moving. How are you at Reid and Taylor responding to cultural shifts without creating operational chaos and eroding margins?
So, Hitesh, like you will agree with me that there has been a major cultural shift, not very far, but recently. If you can see, the weddings were full of, suits, blazers, that kind of stuff is 10 years back or 15 years back. But now it has completely shifted to the ethnic. Any wedding you go, especially in the metro cities or tier 1 cities, you will find that majorly the, all the occasions except reception, I would say, are mostly done into the men's ethnic wear segment, and that's why all the big brands like Mannavaran has come, and that's why along with our core offering of suits, blazers, the formal attire, we have also shifted ourselves to the new requirement of the customer or the new requirement of the market, and that's why we have come up with round neck bundis. Then we have come up with your bandgalas, tuxedos. We identified that way before, and accordingly we made the changes to our offering. So ultimately, in today's dynamic world, we have to be very very relevant to the customer's need, especially to the segment where we have our offering.
Thank you. Thank you, Amit. Over to Puneet now. Puneet, this is on the speed of culture, and with micro trends changing and burning out in weeks rather than months or years, is traditional trend forecasting still fit for the purpose? And how does your organization, evolve its models to help the brands that are there with us and many more, even before these trends become noise?
So see, trends, obviously, trend forecasting is extremely important, and the model has to evolve, and it is evolving. Evolution is what we at our organization. I'm assuming all other trend forecasting companies are also doing that. So see, it's not about micro trends, because when you talk about speed, there is a notion again. We were talking about speed earlier also. Speed without precision does not work for any brand. It will not. We're not asking people to chase trends. It is always the fact that as a trend forecaster, we should not be expected to just predict trends. It is not right for brands to look at any trend forecasting tool or any other insight that please predict what the future will be. It does not work like that. It is important to know micro trends, but it is not at all important to chase any. You don't need to chase all the micro trends. You need to be very, very selective. So the idea about chasing all trends is where brands mostly fail. It is identifying what trends you need to chase, are they worth, and the merit is where the translation of that micro trend happens. So when you're talking about culture of speed, speed again, you don't have to really just run into trends. If you've not thought about it, you will fail irrespective of chasing a trend either much ahead of time, even on time. But you need to read it right. So when you look at a trend company like us, we always tell our clients, do not just follow what we are saying. Just don't have to be copy pasted. You need to always add a new nuance which is relevant to you, which is effective for your target group. So when you translate that, that is what makes a winning product. How you look at that trend, whether it's a micro, it's a macro, but the key aspect is how you are able to translate and just pick. Otherwise, there is all noise. Let's not chase all the noise which is there, because every trend's a noise.
To do in it is basically how relevant the trend is
Absolutely.
into your brand and your segment.
Okay, that relevance comes in. With this, I would like to go to Acharya ji. Acharya ji, this is about the current occasion wear blurring. Now, in Indian social occasions, weddings, festivals, workplaces, etc., all are becoming more style fluid. Now, the question is, with this kind of cultural blurring and the boundaries are being challenged, what kind of fabrics and categories Siyaram is developing and prioritizing?
See, Siyaram is always innovating a new fabric, and innovation is our continuous journey. So, when it comes to innovation, my stall is nearby, and we have exhibited new fabric like knitted denim fabric, which is almost out of the world type of fabric. It is having 360-degree stretch. It is having more comfort, more breathability. So, and we have developed TR fabric, which is again both way stretchable or weft way stretchable. But feel finish is superb. So we are this innovation is continuous journey, and if we say band galas overcoat has become a performance fabric. So previously it was for ethnic only, but now it is for performance also. That way shift happened, and we are developing a lot.
Thank you. Haresh ji, this question is very close to my heart also, because somewhere or the other it's related to sustainability. And this is about the conscious customer. Now you have seen that we all know Mufti speaks to a lot of younger generation, and they are more culturally aware. How much is sustainability or ethical sourcing a genuine purchase driver versus just a communication objective or a communication tool? And does that change how you make your sourcing decisions?
To be frank, this sustainability thing comes from the start of manufacturing the fabrics, start from yarn onwards, to be frank. So now there are lots of yarns which are blends, like there are 5 blends, more than 4 or 5 blends in the fabric nowadays. So that's a change we have seen. It's sustainable because the cotton is being used in a very intelligent way and creating fabrics like Siyaram. They are doing those kinds of blends already, and we are buying from them too. And I believe sustainability for us is choosing a partner where we can buy fabrics who are sustainable themselves, to be frank, because we are outsourcing everything, even manufacturing. So we see to it the ethical ways are being followed by these vendors. Like ETB plants are there for washing units, lasers are there, and potassium permanganate is used less. And all those ethical things we try to see that those things which are sustainable are adopted in Mufti. The customers which come to our shop, if they find a tag on a sustainable product, they might buy or they might not buy, because it has to be suiting to them the garment which we have made. If the shirt is loose and it's sustainable, he wants tighter one, so he might not buy. But consciousness is there, and we should carry on with this sustainability, definitely.
I would like to add something to what Haresh said. So, for me, the take on sustainability is very different. Sustainability, there is always going to be a question. You said the consumer will buy or not buy. The reason they don't buy is because right now sustainability is coming at a certain cost and the consumer is conscious. But what we feel from a consumer perspective, if sustainability is embedded rather than being made to look a conscious call and everything, if we start embedding sustainability in the overall process, there will be a much better taker, is what we are trying to see from a consumer perception. That's what I want to do. It needs to be embedded in the overall system rather than just being said.
Understood, but I will not believe it's expensive. That is not the case. So it is not, I'm not saying that it is expensive, that's why they will not buy. So some sustainable products are cheaper than the...
Yeah.
So it is not that. I did not make...
No. So when I said buy, I'm not talking about the price quote. I said sustainability for a brand too, because once you add a premium product or you add on sustainability, the perception of that product and the value of the product, there is a differentiation between a non-sustainable,
Exactly.
and that is where the price point comes into the factor. But when it says it's a little more embedded into the system, is what we're saying, the consumer are more prone to take that kind of a product rather than just making it like an overall thing. Yeah, this is sustainable.
So how much India is conscious now?
That is always be a debate.
Good. On that consciousness, I want to go to Amit, and this consciousness is on the price consciousness. It's premium positioning, premium pricing versus value pricing. And Amit, there is a high tension going on currently in India about being aspirational as well as value conscious. These two things are both antithesis as well as the need of the hour. Now, in such kind of a scenario where the Indian consumer wants the best but is also value conscious, how does Reid and Taylor's premium positioning navigate this challenge? This is something which I would like to hear from you.
Yeah. So Hitesh, what we did in Reid and Taylor is basically we identified this problem. Especially this has happened post-COVID, that the customer has become more demanding, what to say, and they need best quality, best merchandise at a very competitive rates. I would not say very highly premium, but at a reasonably competitive rate, which justify the value of the product. So in that case, what we generally do, we have categorized our range into 3 things. First is basically your day wear or play wear, where the value consciousness is very high. Okay, so accordingly, we price our merchandise in such a way that we are at par or one notch below our competition without compromising on the quality or it. Second is basically your workwear, right? Like I told before also that previously it was formal wear. Now we are slightly shifting towards smart formal or smart casual, you can say. Like if I would have come for this event 10 years back, I would have been a 2-piece or 3-piece suit if I would have represented a grid and teller. But today you can see it's basically a smart formals, okay, or smart casual, any way you can tweak it. So here in the mid premium segment of workwear, customer is ready to pay but not exorbitantly high. So here we have range of Giza cottons and all, premium Giza cotton shirts, where we price one notch below our competition. So that, and third is because basically your occasion wear or the festive wear. Here the pricing is not an issue because customer already has made the decision he wants to buy for the occasion and they are ready to spend. Only thing what matters in this segment is how best product or quality or service you give to the customer. So this is way, and that is the reason why Reid and Taylor, so in a short period we are now currently at 2500 GMV across all our business streams.
Fantastic. Thanks. Now we'll go to the third segment, which is the final segment, and I start with Puneet. Puneet, this is on the emerging influences that are going on currently. Beyond the usual Western references, which non-traditional cultural geographies, whether it's West Asia, Southeast Asia, or even Tier 2 India, do you see emerging a genuine trend originating that the global fashion industry should pay attention to? What I mean to say is, what are those genuine trends that the industry should pay attention to?
Yeah, so I think one is clear is a shift from Western has completely shifted. It's no longer there. It's as everybody has also mentioned. So India is in a very unique position. If I talk about India, is actually filtering Western trends very effectively. Earlier we were copying them, but there are a lot of new emerging areas. So for example, if I start with, let's look at India itself. So tier 2, tier 3 cities, they have their own culture. They have their own take. They are very influencer driven. They are looking at a lot of micro influencers on Instagram and social media. So those are new drivers when it comes to trends, and they are very vocal. And considering the fact we have 360, 350 million plus Gen Z population sitting here, who's most of the time getting influenced to what's happening on social and everything, it will dictate a certain element. Other areas, economies like Thailand, Korea, they are driving a conversation. Again, these are all social driven. So for example, K-pop, it's an important theme, and we can see those trickles not only in fashion, we can see it in across segments. It started beauty first and all. One really good region to look at is Africa, particularly West Africa region. They are going to be a big driver from a culture point of view. They have a lot of elements into craft, which they are promoting. So these are three areas which will dictate the next set of influencing. But having said that, there are a lot of elements which India is now giving to the West. So if you look at all the big luxury brands, like for example, quiet luxury was a trend everybody spoke about. It did not pick up in India the way it has picked up in the West. We are still very aspirational as consumers. But what we gave them in form of luxury is what our crafts and roots were. Typically embroidery, the kind of handwork we did. Global brands have really lapped it up. They have started influencing. So it's no longer, I'm not talking about viral Kolhapuri chappals, and I'm talking about overall mainstream trends. If you look at all the Western designers, current shows I'm talking about, all the fashion weeks have happened. If you look at, there are so many of the garments are so much influence, which you'll feel this is Indian in roots. So they try to translate that. So India has been subtly been able to position. So wherever you see these emerging elements of local craft and all, those will be the key areas to become more forte in terms of, let's say, trend influencers or drivers.
More forte for the trends. Keeping this point, I want to ask Acharya ji. Now the challenge is between on manufacturing keeping pace with these kind of cultural trends, and according to you, what is the biggest capability gap that Indian mills have today, to stay relevant from what the consumer is demanding or where the whole trend is going?
See, definitely there are some challenges, but if you look before 5 years, challenges has reduced. Maybe due to ease of doing business but if we see today, if we go for weaving, We don't have loom manufacturing in India. If you go for knitting, no knitting manufacturing is in India. We have to import weaving looms. We have to import knitting machines. India is not manufacturing any machines. So, and if you go for raw material, the polyester yarn which is available in India is having some quality problems. So, to make active wear, we have to import the yarn from China or other countries. So there are challenges always there, man, material, machine, in everything. There are few challenges are there, but yes, it has reduced a lot. Man availability is less now in India because migration of worker is become a problem, and bureaucracy or political interference is also disturbing to manufacturing. So mind to market is a big problem, but yes, it is improving.
So with this mind to market, let me go to Harish ji and ask him this question on trend velocity versus supply chain. And here, as the way the consumer is moving fast, how has Mufti, organized itself, keeping pace between or to close the gap between the cultural change, the consumer trends, vis-a-vis the relevant product hitting its shelf?
Honestly, no mid-market has been able to solve this, to be honest. Second is, if any cultural change is there and we are in mid of a season, and this is a change, this change has come, we have to put it on in stores. So what I do, I try to make small capsules of these and try to push it as soon as possible in the shops. So we have two advantages in this. One, we come to know what is the sale and should we produce more of these sorts. So that's how the challenge can be.
So definitely WGSN is already there. It's taking care of the
Very
Yeah.
good.
So it's taking care of the for forecasting the major trends coming up in the market, no doubt about it. And thanks to Puneet, it's working well as of now. But we have our internal teams also. Uh, there are few AI-driven tools what we are using at present for customer identification and customer classification, mostly from the online perspective, e-commerce perspective, return management, then fast deliveries. So there are few AI tools what we are using, and along with that we have come up with or we have developed internally also from the merchandising perspective for the fast replenishment, fast doors. That tools are there. Few from the from the perspective of customer trend analysis, we are in initial talks with them. So it will take some time.
Okay, so final question to all four of you. This question is that if the decision is made in the next 3 years to define the best retail brand an apparel brand, which is the bet that you are going to take on, which is an imperative for these brands to be successful? Or in other words, what is that main ingredient or what is that main factor in the next 3 to 5 years for the brands, which is which will be an impediment for the brands not to succeed, or which is that factor which is extremely important for the brand to succeed in the next 3 years? Which is that factor?
Mr. Brand should start first.
Who? Acharya ji? Which is the most important factor for the next 3 to 5 years?
I think who makes innovative product, and it should have economy also involved in that. That will be the successful.
Thank you. Harish ji?
Yeah, I think investing in knowing your customer rather than following a trained agency is the most effective way to do it. It's
Knowing your customer.
knowing your customer.
Yeah.
You can even, when you go to any retail shop, the sales guys come to you and tells you, sir, ये चीज़ नहीं है, ये मिस हो रहा है, इसको जल्दी लाओ. no customer is more important for me.
Okay. Amit.
Hitesh, see, ideally speaking, I would say any brand or any organization in fashion, especially being fashion being very dynamic business, will be will be the successful who will be actually delivering consistently on quality, style, customer aspirations, and value at par.
इसमें से एक लेना है तो या दो लेना है, not all.
So I would definitely say Reid and Teller.
नहीं. Out of these 4 attributes that you mentioned,
So all are critical. All are critical.
quality,
Quality, consistency of quality, consistency of styling, consistency of value. All three are critical.
over to you, sir.
Yeah, I think well summed. So ultimately, I think you asked about which brand will succeed.
No, not the brands, the attributes. For example, innovation.
So see, from the attributes point of view, ultimately, I'll still come to the factor about, brands chasing culture, trends. I agree with what Haresh mentioned, will not succeed unless they understand it with a lot more clarity, because there is going to be a lot of clutter, there is a lot of data available, there are a lot of insights available. Unless you are finding calmness as an attribute within that clutter to take a very valid, confident decision as a brand that this works, rather than just chasing a trend. Don't chase what we are saying. Understand what we have said, because it's not knowing the trend is not at all important. Understanding the why behind it is going to be critical for any brand. And considering these are all legacy brands. You have these new age brands, the ones who are just scaling up because there is no back-end legacy systems in place. They are much more agile. So for legacy brands, it will be very important to be calm, understanding, and that will be the biggest attribute any business would need to be having a successful product and being a successful brand in future.
So at one end, so if I have to summarize this panel discussion, at one end we have got quality and consistency. On the other end, we have got calmness and understanding. So both of these are completely different attributes. One would be related to the product and the business, and other is obviously the internal culture, calmness, or the internal mindset of an organization, or the owner, or the proprietor, or the founder, or the promoter. Having said that, if you want to be successful in the next 3 to 5 years, what I feel, and this is a summation of the expert panel out here, you have to be innovative and you have to be economical. So when you use the word economy, all said and done, India cannot move away from the tag of a value oriented market. Having said that, we heard the differentiation between premiumization and value, because there is market for everything. But predominantly Indians are a value seeker customer. With that, knowing your customer is at the core of it. So you have to be customer, you will have to have customer centricity, and you will also have to be customer focused. That's the way you are going to know your customer. And finally, having the quality, having the fabric, having that innovation, having even I see the technology in today's world, without which it's not going to happen, and the right material with sustainability at the core of fashion is going to be the success mantra. इतना बड़ा success mantra means इतनी बड़ी book है, वो सभी आ गया. But still I feel innovation in everything will be the core at that success. Last final word. Shakespeare said, apparel often proclaims the man. And we can see from what you dress, apparel, you are proclaimed, okay, you are so and so. But there is other kahavat also saying that don't judge a book by its cover. So keep this in mind. People may wear fantastic, but you can't judge, and people may not wear that much also relevant to the occasion, but you will never judge the book by its cover. With this, I want to thank our esteemed panel here.
My question is, how to lead your customer or how to lead your consumer? Is it possible to lead the consumer? Means what makes one to develop that, where consumer starts following you?
You're asking me?
Yeah.
How to know your consumer, you mean to say?
No, you said about that know your consumer.
Know your consumer.
Yeah, that
So
means
that's what I
following your
told you,
consumer.
Small things like when I go
No,
to
no.
my...
My question is that to lead your means you move ahead and consumer follows you?
So it's both ways. I don't think it's just one way. So it's both ways. We come up with new trends, new fashion, and maybe that customer goes to some other shop and says कि मुफ्ती में तो ये है but आपके पास नहीं है. So in that way, I mean to say, you know your consumer what he wants more, what he's looking for exactly. So that's how we come to know by the data we gather from our sales guys. We do make them come for training, and we ask them many things, where we come to know that yes, this thing is missing, this color is missing, this silhouette is missing, this cut is missing, or this new trends which has come, which has, for example, elastic trousers, which has come in a very big way. So if you miss the trend, you're missing customer, you're missing business. So it's a big thing to know your customer. You'll come to know the trends.
How to make your customer follow you?
So see, I think, I'm a firm believer of the fact that customers are neither the king or the queens. They essentially are confused people. They will go to a store. Unless you're going to a bespoke store, you'll go to a store and you'll pick up, Mufti has 5 colors. I'll have to pick up from those 5 colors. But if I ask him, Haresh ji, please give me the 6th color, you're like, nahi, maine collection mein dala hi nahi hai. So, knowing if a consumer has its certain limitations. But when you said your question was about leading a consumer. So see, leading a consumer is what I mentioned earlier. It's about the understanding the why. When you mention elastic and jeans fluidity, for me the why is comfort. My why is functionality. That is what I knew about my consumer. I lead that thought of the consumer. The consumer is looking at comfort, it is looking at functionality. How does that translate? A brand will translate into a fluidity in pants. A brand will translate that into a baggy trouser. Will both sell? Yes. Because the consumer is led by you into creating a product about an attribute you assume the consumer want. So it goes hand in hand. So knowing your consumer is about understanding what their personas is, what their buying behavior would be. Amit, you mentioned about your outfit becoming from a 2-piece suit. It has moved the way you're identifying yourself with this. This is as a consumer. You have to be agile, and that is where you know the consumer. My consumer does not want to wear a 3-piece suit. He's looking at a little more relaxed and a cool vibe. Most of the millennials want to move to a Gen Z way. Gen Zs do not buy Gen Z trends. Millennials do. Yes. Still wants. You will have to identify those.
There is a segment or from the demographic perspective.
Absolutely.
Who wants to buy our 3-piece or 2-piece suit or bandgala of a premium wool fabric or wool blend fabric. But again, you have to address across the demographic. So brand has to be agile and address all the buckets.
So that is what it says. Just know your consumers' needs. Translate that into the product, and then you will lead them. Yeah, please buy one of those 5 colors because I understood your needs.
And Puneet, one more thing that customer, first point of making the buy decision, you all will agree that I should look good into it. So that is the first point of decision making when the buy is made by the customer. So after that everything comes in.
True.
Any more questions? Okay. Thank you to all our panelists for an enriching and an interesting discussion. May I request our panelists to remain on stage for the felicitation. I now invite Ms. Himani Gulati, Director, MEX Exhibitions Private Limited, to felicitate our panelist. We start with our moderator, Dr. Hitesh Bhatt. Mr. Puneet Dudeja. Mr. P.K. Acharya. Mr. Haresh Mansharamani. And Mr. Amit Gundawar. May I now request all the panelists to kindly come forward for a group photograph.